9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Say his name and he appears. I believe it said.
What's up, people? Happy CEO Wednesdays, and your screens are not deceiving you. It's a Wednesday, but we about to talk Monday Night Raw because, as promised, I have returned to the WWT airwaves. I want to talk about Monday Night Raw real heavily because a lot happened. It was the greatest of all times. Final Monday Night Raw in the Madison Square Garden. We had more turnabout with the Last Time Is Now tournament, championship title matches, different swerves and returns. It was probably one of the biggest Monday Night Raws I can remember since watching WWE this year. It felt like a very big show, and they packed the house out for Netflix, and not only for Netflix, for our Go Home show coming down to the wire for War Games, and of course, Madison Square Garden. I know I talked to you guys earlier on WWT Live, and I was a little bit late, but I definitely did not want to leave you guys this week without serving you guys some info on Monday Night Raw. If you haven't watched it, these are going to be spoilers, so I apologize. It's 48 hours since Monday Night Raw. We opened up the show with John Cena coming out into the Garden for the final time, addressing the crowd, talking about being the IC champion, becoming Grand Slam, and was interrupted by Dom Mysterio yet again, who was really scoring and wanted a rematch, but Dom wasn't alone this time. He was flanked by his Judgment Day brethren. Not really sure how long this Judgment Day thing is going to last because they virtually lost all of their gold. I'm not counting AAA with that, but the cracks in the armor are growing ever increasingly, and I feel like Liv's going to be back pretty soon if you've been following her socials. But Dom demanded a rematch. John Cena wanted to fight one last time. This is his final Monday Night Raw. We get a triple threat. After they attacked John, Sheamus came and tried to make the save. They had 3-on-2. Sheamus gets attacked. Rey Mysterio is now cleared for action. Came and made the save, attacking his son. This was one of those nostalgic, feel-good matches because if you've been a fan of wrestling as long as I have been, you know that the end is near career-wise for Sheamus and Rey. So you got to see these guys who were a large part of the early 2000s, 2010s, join together one last time against the Heels in the Judgment Day. Great tag team match. We got to see them play all the hits. Everybody hit their finishers. We got to see a five-knuckle shuffle with Rey, Sheamus, and John. And kudos to Sheamus on that moment, too, because he made sure John was in the center and not just on the right. John looked like he was going to do his own thing, but Sheamus said, hey, no, you're the centerpiece here. Really feel-good moment. The Heroes won, and we got a really good send-off of John addressing the crowd. Very good shot of John addressing the crowd from top view. I'm assuming from a drone, just thanking all the fans. And now we know that John will be defending that title next Saturday at Petco Park at Survivor Series, which interesting match. It's a rematch for Dom. I have to feel like the title is going to go back to Dom because it makes no sense for John to carry that belt into his final match in the Last Time Is Now tournament. But either way, it was a dope match. I feel like we could have finished the night with John, but I get why you got it out the way because there's other things brewing within the company right now. But it was such a great match, and now we see where we're going to go, not only with Dom and John next week, but eventually with Rey and Dom, because I think that's the next up, or at least Sheamus trying to capture that IC belt because he's still alive in the Last Time Is Now tournament. We were supposed to hear from Stephanie McCurr. She addressed the crowd from her attack from Nikki Bella last week. Nikki Bella seemingly turned on Stephanie, saying that she's here for the title and that Stephanie reminded her who she was, which kind of telegraphed. I feel like Nikki's been kind of positionless since she returned to the show. Obviously, great fanfare. You want to see her kind of end her career on her own terms. She was kind of rivaling with Becky, didn't do much there, was dropping matches to Roxanne in consecutive weeks, and she was just there. And you know what? I think that's a good thing. It adds more star power, balance, and depth to your roster that you have Nikki Bella as a part of the women's division instead of a focal point. But eventually we were going to get here. I thought it was pretty easy to telegraph and see that all this buddy backstage is I respect you, you're a great champion, and you're a great performer was all bullshit because Nikki really didn't have a place in the women's division right now. So what do? You turn on Stephanie, you turn on heel. This is the same Nikki Bella we've seen turn on her sister in the past. And it makes sense going forward because it gives Stephanie a high profile match that keeps her away from like the murder's row of talent backstage, like the Rheas, the EOs, and things like that. You want to do that later down the road and make this a really prominent title reign for Stephanie. But Stephanie didn't even get a chance to talk. She got nerfed right in her entrance by Nikki. And Nikki said, hey, you reminded me that I am Nikki freaking Bella. And I'm here not to just be a part of this division, but to be world champion. And that's what I'm going to be. So I expect, actually, I think it's confirmed, Nikki and Stephanie will be doing battle next week in San Diego at War Games. Backstage afterwards, since War Games is coming up, the women's teams are seemingly set. However, we need fives. So we saw the Kabuki Warriors try to lure Bayley in, and maybe that's why they hadn't been attacking Bayley in recent weeks, because they wanted Bayley to join the team. Bayley was walking backstage with Lyra. Bayley laughs him off and says there's no chance in hell she'd join them after everything they put her through. And Lyra said she was proud of Bayley, which prompted Bayley to go schizo Bayley and turn and say, hey, you stupid idiot, why, yada, yada. Saying, come on, let's go. So I don't know. I mean, I've been watching Monday Night Raw, and I haven't done a post show in a couple weeks, but I don't know if the Bayley thing is just on ice or they were telling the story pretty proactively, and now it seems like we've kind of taken a step back, but it's like they're still doing it. I don't know what's going to happen there. I think Lyra and Bayley shouldn't be a tag team. They have to separate, especially after what we saw on NXT last night with the Culling turning on Tatum. So what's going to happen with that? Tatum's going to want revenge. Tatum's not going to have any friends. She's always had a friend in Lyra. I expect Lyra to be of help with her in some form or fashion. But at the end of the day, we got to continue telling that story with Bayley. And we'll get to the Women's War Games a little bit later because I think we know who the 5th members are going to be. Next up, we had our next edition in the Last Time Is Now tournament with Solo Sikoa versus a mystery opponent. Solo came to the ring with Tala Tonga. And I think a lot of people, including myself, we felt like this was going to be Joe Hendry easily. Like they got announced that Joe Hendry was officially with WWE. And I was like, okay, it makes sense. I mean, you want a hot babyface, big star to go against, to not only be in a tournament, but to go against Solo. Because we don't, to me, I'm trying to figure out what this version of Solo is. He's kind of like the ringleader of the MFTs, but he's not as menacing as he was when he was just the quiet guy in the bloodline. We're really treading water there. But we found out in Madison Square Garden that the mystery opponent was Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler. Now, kudos to the WWE for bringing these guys back. Honestly, not so much kudos. I feel like it's harmless to call them their TNA name since TNA is under TKO. You could have called him his real name, Nick Nemeth. You could have called Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona. It would have been the same thing. We know who you are. But I guess for the purpose of the OG music and stuff like that, you want to keep things legacy. Dolph Ziggler was the one to take on Solo Sikoa. And this might be, quiet as kept, the best match of Solo's career. All because of Dolph Ziggler selling his ass off. Dolph Ziggler didn't just come for a quick paycheck and for a quick pop. That man came to work. And everything he did in that ring made Solo look like $1 million. And it was beautiful to see. It was beautiful to see Dolph Ziggler get that type of fanfare and love because he was one of the workhorses for not only, I'd say for the greater part, for the past decade plus. Even selling the spike, I don't even think the spike has looked that good ever as a move. And Dolph made it seem like he died on instant contact. Great match. Made me believe Solo as a viable contender going forward in this because he I mean, seemingly didn't really need the help of the MFTs to really get a leg up on anything. But it also would have been nice, we're doing all this stuff. It would have been nice if, I know Zack Ryder didn't win. It would have been nice for Dolph Ziggler to go on in this match because he could have put on good match with everybody. Imagine if Dolph would have took on Gunther or Dolph would have took on Javon Evans. Like, who knows? Like, the sky would have been the limit. So I hope that's not the end. I hope we can see more of Ryder, more of Cardona in different spots in the main roster of WWE, blending with some of these superstars because it helps raise the tide of all ships, helps raise the floor of everything. Actually, Boza, that's going to be Gunther. That's going to meet the winner of that match next week. It's already been announced. Next up, we had a promo with backstage. We saw Alexa Bliss walk in the ring. Alexa Bliss comes out and pretty much scolds Charlotte in the ring for kind of turning on their friendship, saying that she knows who she is, that they're best friends, and that Charlotte left her there to get her ass kicked, which prompted, I guess, a stronger War Games team right now with Lash Legend, Nia Jax, and the Kabuki Warriors to come surround Alexa Bliss at the ring. Rhea and Io come to try to make the save. And then eventually Charlotte comes out with a kendo stick, saving her tag team partner and seemingly lowering her ego to say, hey, I can be a part of this. We're still going to figure out what's going on with the whole I don't trust Rhea thing because I think there's legs there, which I don't know why that's the first thing that came out of Charlotte's mouth. I feel like that should be Rhea who would say that about Charlotte. But they need a fifth. Seems like we might know who that fifth is now. How are you guys feeling about these War Games teams? Because, I mean, I think we know who the fifth women are going to be on both sides. And we know who now the fifth men are going to be on both sides. Very top-heavy War Games matches, possibly because of the ESPN partnership. We want to make sure we're really showing up for ESPN, making sure that the network, your analysts have the people they know that they can talk about. But me as a fan, I really liked War Games when it was on NXT brand because they had more storylines, more bad blood, and it blended in together so much better than what we're seeing on programming now. I loved Survivor Series traditional matches, and we're only getting one on SmackDown next Friday. And it's going to be the MFTs versus Sammy and company. And it feels like they could have done so much better with building everything. It seems like we just threw everything together pretty fast. But nevertheless, I mean, I do love that Lash Legend's going to be able to share the ring with all these top superstars to really showcase herself. That's who I'm looking to really sell out in War Games and make a name for herself amidst all these other women who are veterans. So it's yet to be seen what's going to happen in San Diego. But it felt like they could have prolonged the whole Charlotte thing, not really joining the team until like next week. I feel like the heel should have got the upper hand yet another week. Then Charlotte come back and say like, okay, I'm in. But time crunches. Next up, we had our IC title match, Maxine Dupri versus Becky Lynch. This was a good showing by Maxine. I thought there were some parts of the match that looked kind of off, but Becky does such a good job with her counterparts, mixing in, scolding the celebrities ringside because there were so many, scolding Tessator and Wade Barrett, and even the beef with Jessica Carr is ever present. So if they ever want to have that match, great. They should do that. As you guys know right now, we have a new IC champion because AJ Lee did not interfere, like Becky Lynch has been saying on social media. Her music just hit, and she came to ringside just to get a closer look at the match, which caused Becky to lose sight of her opponent, and Maxine hit a crossbody splash and got a 3 count. Not a fast count, just a normal 3 count, and she's your new IC champion. I love this moment so much. Give me the surprise. Crown new stars, build around people. Maxine's been putting in work with Natalya for a long time. You see her videos at the dungeon. She deserves this. Again, similar to like Tatum Paxley, like title reigns do not need to be 6 months, 9 months. They don't need to be long. They just need to be legitimate. Give people their moment. And her family was there. She was in the garden. And she got to win that in front of friends and family, which is amazing. And she got to beat one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. So I'm glad that she picked up that victory. I'm really interested to see who her first challengers will be. And I hope that she gets a title run that lasts at least through the Rumble rest of the year, because Becky Lynch stamped her. With all the matches, you can see Maxine getting more comfortable in the ring, getting more comfortable with her character work and everything she did to really counter and offset Becky's energy. But it was a great match overall. And I'm happy that now you see the crash out part of Becky Lynch, that she's talking about the New York State Athletic Commission and Adam Pearce not having her back. And then also what's going on with Jessica Carr. She's really losing it on socials and milking it to the point where that direction is going to shift over to AJ Lee. And she's going to want a piece of AJ Lee for costing her. She's calling AJ absolutely, what'd she say? Absolutely unjustifiable. I don't know what she said. It's on her Twitter, but great stuff. And I'm pretty sure these are going to be your fifth women's War Games competitors on both sides. Becky joining the Kabukis, Nia and Lash. Don't know how that's going to work with Nia and Becky's history. And then obviously AJ Lee joining Rhea, Charlotte, Alexa, and Io, which if you saw Raw, you saw AJ Lee saying, hey, was talking to Jackie and saying like, hey, I was just here to check out Maxine, but that Becky Lynch really just gets under my skin. I came originally to support my husband, but Becky really bothers me. So she's not done with Becky despite the mixed match tag match at WrestlePalooza. So with that being said, Rhea did talk to AJ Lee backstage. We don't know what they talk about, but if you put 2 and 2 together, that's going to be your War Games competitors. We're going to get AJ Lee in a War Games match next week, guys. And if that's not going to sell tickets for ESPN, then I don't know what will. The Ring General versus the Young OG was our next match. Javon Evans has been booked and busy. That man is not the future. That man is the now. And clearly enough, WWE cannot get enough of the Young OG on programming because the man's been everywhere. He's been in NXT. I believe he's been in TNA, been in AAA, the main roster. The Young OG, and he was in tag team actually last night against Dark State for the NXT tag titles. He's been working. The man been working. And he got to wrestle one of this generation's most pure wrestlers ever. And he put on a show in the Garden. The kid looks ready. And yes, Boza, he might be on the main roster full-time sooner rather than later. I hope that they really allow him to develop and become the star he deserves to be in NXT first. Because to me, that's how you have staying power on the main roster instead of just these casual appearances. And now you're called up and you just become a good act on a part of the card instead of like a top guy. I hope he really gets that shine. But putting on the match against Gunther, and I like the kind of story they told with the chops in the beginning. Gunther's like, oh, you want to see a chop? The back and forth till we got into Javon's offense on the outside of the ring. Even the finish, the power bomb wasn't enough to get Javon out of here. Gunther, similar to what he had to do with Jay, he had to choke him out. And it took a couple attempts at that sleeper to get Javon to really go to sleep and get up out of here. So I think that alone, A+ match, but that alone reestablished this like bloodthirst that Gunther has since dropping the title, seeing his own blood. Also, small but very important thing, Gunther's OG theme is back. Like his OG Imperium theme is back. We are back to Ring General Gunther that we really saw in NXT, which I love that. I mean, I love and hate it because I don't get to use this clip no more.
Gunther, the Ring General Gunther.
All in all, man, good to see Gunther back in action. He advances in the last time is now tournament. And now we're going to see Gunther take on the winner of Bronson Reed or Carmelo Hayes. And I know people are probably thinking that's a lock for Bronson Reed. I don't think so. I think all this stuff, and this is Friday, by the way, we saw a face-off this Monday Night Raw that wasn't really a face-off. It went to fisticuffs very fast. And I think that's going to happen again on Friday. And I think that's going to be to Carmelo Hayes' advantage, which is going to allow him to get a victory over Bronson Reed and advance. And Carmelo Hayes needs this more than so many other superstars. John Cena has talked so much about leaving his place better than he found it. He went down to NXT purposely to change the way his final match at Saturday night's main event is going to be, to feature the stars of tomorrow. I have to believe in my heart of hearts that he wants to face a star of tomorrow. And who was hotter in 2023 through early 2024 than Carmelo Hayes? And we've done nothing since then. I have to believe that Gunther is going to face Carmelo Hayes. Now, I don't know what's going to go on there. I have no idea how you get Carmelo Hayes past Gunther, but I'm interested in seeing the damn match. And I'm interested in seeing if Carmelo Hayes can somehow slip past Gunther, since if there were betting odds on this, Gunther's the consensus favorite to face John. I hope John exercises his golden shovel and says, hey, I want Carmelo Hayes to be in the finals. And somehow, some way, Carmelo Hayes slips one. Maybe somebody costs Gunther the match. And then we get Hayes and Cena somehow at Saturday Night Main Event. I really would love to see that. But shout out to Gunther. Shout out to the OG theme. Love seeing that. I'm trying not to cuss on here a lot, man, but the go home part of Monday Night Raw, the final segment, it felt very Attitude Era, meaning it was a beautiful clusterfuck. There wasn't a lot of talking. We introduced the 4 members of Paul Heyman's team, as you saw earlier in the show. Paul, Pierce, Aldis, pretty pissed off about Drew McIntyre because McIntyre was suspended for his actions. Heyman says, if that pisses you off, my 5th member is going to piss you off even more. The 4 men get surrounded around the ring by not only the Usos, but CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. They're ready to fight. Everything goes to chaos pretty fast. And what happens? The Beast comes back. Paul Heyman has enlisted Brock Lesnar as his 5th man for War Games. How you convince Brock Lesnar to do a War Games match, I have no idea. And as soon as the show is going off the air, the leaf fitting, the thanks for coming out graphics come on. I think the show is over. We get overtime and Roman Reigns shows up. Now, this is the Garden, biggest arena, most popular arena in the world. This shocked me because Roman Reigns clearly told his cousins, I don't want to see you guys until Christmas. So I'm thinking Roman's done for the year. Or maybe just done the Saturday Night Main Event just to be on that card. But Roman coming back for this makes the match not only feel bigger. I don't really care for another Roman versus Brock, but the way they introduced Roman as if he had no fear, no care about who Brock Lesnar is, hitting him with a Superman punch, taking him out the ring almost instantly, that makes it feel like, hey, we have our 2 alphas here, which good and bad, because you got 2 world champions on one team and you needed to bring the tribal chief here to legitimize my team. So while this match is very top heavy, I think it's going to present a lot of issues as far as how we sell it during the course of the match, if I'm being honest. And we'll get into predictions and things like that. But Roman being here, yes, Boza, they panicked and then they packed the fuck out these rosters. And now it's not really the Vision versus the Heroes. It's just like, hey, let's put all our stars in a very dangerous match. So yeah, because there's so many things that could have changed here. Like Bronson Reed is in the Last Time Is Now tournament. Why isn't Braun Breaker? Logan Paul has aligned himself with Paul Heyman, so now he's a Paul Heyman guy. Jay is still trying to be on his I need to be about me and get my title back stuff, but now Roman's back. Roman is not a champion, but this just showcased that Roman's a bigger deal than CM Punk and Cody. And then on top of that, we got both world champions in a War Games match, and neither world title is being defended. So that means the world titles might not be defended again until the Royal Rumble, which because Saturday Night Main Event is going to be exhibition matches. It's going to be all main roster stars versus NXT stars or future stars tomorrow. Now, whether Cody or Punk defend their titles against a star of tomorrow, like it's yet to be seen, but you have to put this and quantify it that it looks good on paper, but it don't look good when you really peel the layers back, if I'm being honest. Cody has to start having better storylines away from Monday Night Raw away from bloodline drama, and it just hasn't happened. I get it that Drew joined the team, Cody joins the team. I get those things, but we could have continued Cody and Drew. You could have added more people and other layers in that. To your point, Boza, the MFTs are going to take on Sammy and Co. It should have been the MFTs versus the Wyatt Six in War Games. That's what it felt like it would have been at least a month and a half to 2 months ago. I don't know why we're not doing that. This is such a top-heavy main event that, to me, as a fan, it might draw in the eyeballs that you want from the casual viewers, but it doesn't make sense for storytelling and booking long-term. Somebody has to lose, and I think it's going to hurt people's characters overall. To me, if I'm making my pick today, Paul Heyman's team is a stronger team. Drew McIntyre, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, Logan Paul, Brock Lesnar. Stronger team, more cohesion. Simple as that. The trio of Cody, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns will absolutely not get on the same page. So if they somehow win the War Games match, it makes no sense whatsoever how they came together and were able to work together to defeat the more cohesive team that is more laser focused. So I get why you had to bring Roman back now. I get Roman Reigns. I hope we hear from Roman Reigns this upcoming Monday. Maybe he's just there to protect and save his cousins again. And he'll say, like, aligning yourself with Cody Rhodes and CM Punk is no good. But that's why I'm here to help you guys out. But that was Monday Night Raw, y'all. It felt like an Attitude Era show. I'm not going to front. The ending felt like so busy, but it felt good, like an Attitude Era show with all these different returns. Didn't expect what Brock was kind of telegraphed. You can see that, but I definitely didn't expect Roman at all. But it'll make for an interesting Survivor Series show. Like Boza said, we only have 4 matches total. Maybe they add in a 5th. Maybe there's some pre-show matches in there. Survivor Series used to be one of the big 4. If you still consider it a big 4, I'm right there with you. But you got to get back to the traditional matches. I think having Survivor Series 5-on-5 is a lot better than shoving things into War Games, or at least going back to brand supremacy when it was NXT versus SmackDown versus Raw. I think that would have been perfect for this year just because you have so many NXT stars that you can feature. But TKO going to get what TKO wants. So it is what it is. But it's late my time, y'all. I appreciate y'all from all over the world where you guys are rocking with me. Make sure you tune in on Friday. We'll be talking AEW Full Gear and everything that's going on there for Saturday after this lovely CEO Wednesday where my client, Mercedes Moné, locked up the ROH TV title. Also, NXT was wild last night. We'll have to talk NXT on Friday because we have a new NXT Women's World Champion with Tatum Paxley. We also have the Ruler back in action, getting ready to take on Ricky Sanks, I think next week at the second part of Gold Rush. I don't know if that's going to be Oba's swan song to NXT or if this is going to be another hard reset. I like when NXT gives me hard resets because you should be able to hot potato the title amongst these young stars a lot more consistently. But I want to make sure the councilman is here to represent his brand, his show, and give his thoughts on the Ruler actually being back. Thank you, Boza. That's what I meant to say. It's being teased for Deadline, which Iron Survivor is probably the best, most unique match in all of WWE today. So we know John Cena is going to be actually naming the the competitors for the Iron Survivor match next week, men and women. So that'll be a dope accolade, and it might actually give you some hints as to who's going to be competing in the exhibitions on Saturday night's main event. But again, appreciate you guys rocking with me. I'm about to go to bed. I will see you guys Friday for sure, early and on time. This is the Monday Night Mayor Raw post show. A couple days late. We make sure we're on time next week for Monday Night Raw, and I'll see you guys on Friday for the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet, WWT. Peace, y'all.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.